My son deserves a queen, not this infertile little nobody. The drunk mother-in-law shrieked it across the ballroom, humiliating me in front of my husband's boss. My husband stood there, eyes down, saying nothing. I calmly took out my phone. His face went slack when he realized what I'd just done. Hi there. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Caroline loved quiet, especially the kind that settled over their apartment at dusk, when the last pink light faded and the city lit its million artificial stars. She'd curl into the soft chair by the window, tuck her legs underneath her, and watch the city live a life that had nothing to do with her. That quiet was her refuge, her little island of peace in an ocean of anxiety that had been stormier than ever lately. On paper, her marriage to Dan looked perfect. Young, attractive, successful. He was a rising department head at a major tech company. She was a PR manager who'd paused her career to build a home. They lived in his spacious two-bedroom in a nice neighborhood, took weekend trips to the mountains, and caught a movie most Sundays. Behind the glossy surface, a crack widened daily. Its name was Linda Brooks. Linda, a retired prep school principal with a will of iron and a tongue like acid, believed her Danny was the crown of creation, and that no woman on earth could possibly deserve him. She tolerated Caroline the way you tolerate bad weather or a toothache. From day one, Linda made it clear that Caroline was a temporary inconvenience, something to be corrected. Her weapon of choice? Caroline's deepest wound: no children. 4 years of marriage, 2 of them spent trying, had become a marathon of doctors, tests, and procedures. The verdict was always the same. There was a problem, but it was solvable. With time, patience, and most of all, calm. Calm was the one thing Caroline didn't have. So, sweetheart, any news? Linda would begin every visit, peering into Caroline's face as if pregnancy could be read like a weather forecast. The clock's ticking. Dan is 32. Time to think about heirs, Dan would joke, or change the subject. But he never once said the word that mattered. Enough. He loved Caroline, she knew that. But his love was quiet and shy, while his filial duty was loud and demanding. That evening was no different. Dan came home buzzing. Care, great news about Saturday's company event. They cancelled? She asked hopefully. She hated those loud gatherings where you had to smile and make small talk. Opposite, the CEO, Richard Collins, is coming, and he asked people to bring their spouses. Says family values matter. Dan's eyes shone. This is a chance. Caroline smiled for him. She knew how much his career and Collins's opinion meant. That's wonderful, babe. I'm happy for you. They were still hugging when his phone lit up. Mom. Dan snapped to attention. Yes, Mom. Hi. Everything's great. Mr. Collins will be there. Of course, with Caroline. His face tightened. I don't know if that's appropriate. It's for employees and their spouses. Okay, I'll ask. Sure. Bye. He put the phone down, guilty. Mom wants to come with us. Why? Caroline asked, exhausted already. To support me. She says it's a big night for my career, and she needs to be there to show the CEO what a strong, close family I have. A strong, close family? Caroline pictured something very different. But she saw the fear in Dan's eyes. The fear of telling his mother no. Dan, it's a corporate event, not a family reunion. Your mom would be out of place. Care, please. He sounded pleading. Just one evening. She'll sit with us for an hour and head out. If I refuse, she'll be hurt. Her blood pressure. Health blackmail was Linda's signature move, and it always worked. Fine, Caroline sighed. She can come. The first alarm bell rang. Saturday wouldn't just be uncomfortable, it would be catastrophic. And somewhere deep down, Caroline knew that night would be their point of no return. The days leading up to the event were torture. She tried to focus on work, but her thoughts kept circling Saturday. Dresses, shoes, hair. Every choice felt monitored by Linda, even when she wasn't in the room. The calls came anyway. "Caroline, I hope you're not wearing that black dress. It ages you and makes you look even thinner. Men prefer women who look healthy, able to carry children. Wear something light. No pants, please. Mr. Collins is conservative." Caroline listened in silence, fingers pressed so hard to the phone they hurt. Whatever she chose would be wrong anyway. She thought of their honeymoon in Prague, the one time they'd truly been alone, far from Linda's reach. Narrow streets, Tredelnik, laughing over nothing. Dan had been so gentle, so present. Once, in a tiny cafe, he'd said, "I'm so happy with you. You're real." Mom always plays a part. Caroline had floated all day on that sentence. She believed he understood. She believed their love was stronger than his mother's gravity. Back home, Dan turned into the obedient son again. That cafe confession stayed behind on the cobblestones like a wish that never came true. Meanwhile, Caroline poured herself into a secret project. Through her friend Sophie, she'd started volunteering PR work for a small non-profit that helped children with rare diseases. There was almost no budget, so Caroline built an outreach strategy, wrote copy, negotiated media. No one, not even Dan, knew. If Linda discovered Caroline was giving time for free instead of fixing herself, there would be hell to pay. The project became Caroline's private sanctuary. The day before the event, Sophie called. "Ready for battle?" "Honestly, I'd rather run away to a desert island." "Breathe. Keep Olympic calm." "She's provoking you. Smile, nod, treat her like a difficult client. Easy for you to say. Dan turns into her shadow when she's around. Then you'll be strong for both of you," Sophie said firmly. "Oh, and great news. A major TV channel loves our story and wants a segment. I need a quick press outline, emailing you details." Caroline brightened. "That's huge." That lift carried her through the evening when Dan brought a velvet box. "For tomorrow. You should feel like the most beautiful woman in the room." Inside was a delicate pearl necklace. "Dan, this is expensive." "You deserve it," he hugged her. "I'm sorry about Mom. I know it's been hard. I love you." Caroline pressed her face into his shoulder and for a moment let herself believe things could still be fixed. She decided to be strong, for him, for them. She'd wear the necklace and smile no matter what. She didn't know those pearls would become the symbol of the worst humiliation of her life. Saturday night. Chandeliers blazing, live music, white-gloved waiters. Caroline felt slightly out of place in all the showy luxury, but she stood tall. A simple sapphire blue silk dress. Dan's pearl necklace. They arrived early. Dan slipped into work mode, shaking hands, introducing her, chatting strategy. Caroline smiled and played along, waiting for the storm. Linda arrived at 7 sharp, making an entrance like a queen at court. Wine-colored velvet, gold embroidery, a heavy necklace that outshone Caroline's modest pearls by design. "Danny, sweetheart," Linda cooed, strolling through the room and collecting stares. She air-kissed her son and gave Caroline a quick, measuring glance. "What a cute little dress. Simple, tasteful. The color's a bit dark for your age, but oh well." Then she seized the agenda. "Where's our table?" "Danny, introduce me to your colleagues. I need to know who my son works with." Proud to show off his glamorous mother, Dan escorted her around. Linda flirted with the men, flattered the women, and, softly, relentlessly, underscored her importance in her son's life. When they finally sat, the fuse burned fast. Next to them was Dan's boss, Michael Harris, with his wife. Linda pounced. "Mr. Harris, I'm so grateful my Danny has a leader like you. He's such a hard worker. Everything he does is for family and the future. We can't wait for grandbabies. Hopefully Caroline will make us happy soon." Heat surged into Caroline's face. She shot Dan a pleading look. He was busy talking to someone else. "Kids are a blessing," Harris said kindly. "We have 3. 3! What a treasure!" Linda exclaimed, shooting Caroline a pointed glance. "We're still waiting." Poor Caroline. So delicate, such fragile health. The doctors say we have to be careful. A lie, wrapped in fake concern. Caroline's health wasn't the issue, and it was certainly not table conversation with her husband's boss. "Mrs. Brooks, maybe we could talk about something else," Caroline said, quiet but steady. "This is a private topic." "Sweetheart, what did I say?" Linda blinked innocently. "I'm just sharing our family joys and sorrows. We're all friends here." She turned to Mrs. Harris. "You understand. For us women, the most important thing is continuing the family line, right? Heirs to carry on what we've built. Careers and ambitions, dust." Sensing the awkwardness, Mrs. Harris tried to pivot. "Caroline, Dan mentioned you work in design. Fascinating field." But Linda had found her favorite team and wasn't letting go. She talked about women's purpose, each sentence a disguised jab at Caroline. The hidden problem surfaced, the catalyst fired. Caroline realized the night wouldn't just be unpleasant, it would be degrading. She sat among Dan's colleagues like a defendant at a public trial, Linda playing prosecutor, and Dan the silent witness for the state. The room's emotional temperature spiked. Caroline felt her carefully protected world collapsing in front of everyone. She couldn't take another insinuation. Gathering herself, she said, "Mrs. Brooks, I'd appreciate it if we didn't discuss my personal life in a crowd. It's inappropriate." Linda froze for a beat, then smiled her sharpest smile. "What secret? Everyone knows you and Danny have been married 4 years, and the stalk still hasn't found your address. I'm only trying to help. Maybe people will have advice. Folk wisdom, you know, beats doctors sometimes, below the belt." Linda wasn't just discussing their struggle. She was putting it on display as a defect, something to pity. "We don't need pity," Caroline said, her voice shaking. "And certainly not advice from strangers." Dan walked up, sensing tension, and tried his usual clumsy joke. "What are my favourite ladies arguing about? Mum, telling stories about my childhood again." "Not at all, sweetheart," Linda purred. "We're talking about your future. How a man needs a reliable home base and heirs." She looked meaningfully at Caroline. Dan wilted. "Mom, not now," he muttered, sitting down. "My colleagues, my boss." "Am I saying anything improper?" Linda fluttered her lashes. "I'm proud of my son. I want him to have what normal people have, a full house and lots of kids. Is that so bad?" Mr. and Mrs. Harris excused themselves, mortified. Silence fell. "Happy now?" Linda hissed once they'd gone. "Your stubbornness just scared off respected people. Your husband's boss will think our family is a mess." "Our family is a mess," Caroline said evenly. "And you're the main reason." "Oh, that's how it is." Linda drew herself up for battle. "Ungrateful girl. My son rescued you from obscurity, and you dare?" "Mum, stop," Dan finally cut in, voice so weak Linda ignored it. "You don't tell me what to do, boy." If not for me, she'd still be at some dead-end job dreaming of a prince. Caroline stood. "Excuse me. I need the ladies' room." In the hallway, she texted Sophie with trembling hands. "How's it going? Has the monster shown her clothes?" "Already has. It's hell. Hold on. You're not alone. Call me and I'll come." The short exchange steadied her. She rinsed her face, fixed her makeup, breathed deep. Leaving would feel like surrender. She wasn't surrendering. When she returned, Linda was charming another couple. Spotting Caroline, she raised her voice for the crowd. "There's our runaway." "Feeling better, sweetheart?" "Hormones, I get it. Happens to pregnant women." She slapped a hand to her mouth theatrically. "Oh, sorry, forgot. It was monstrous. Public humiliation turned entertainment." Dan sat crimson, pretending to study his phone. Caroline understood. This wouldn't be smoothed over. Linda hadn't come to support her son. She'd come to destroy her daughter-in-law, and she wouldn't stop until she got what she wanted. Every toast, every congratulations turned into a dig. "To the company's success," Linda declared, glass raised. "And to devoted employees like my Danny. He gives his whole self to work, because a man must provide, especially when there are, certain difficulties at home." People nodded knowingly and glanced at Caroline with pity. She felt like a cabinet of curiosities exhibit, set out for inspection. Dan tried again. "Mum, enough about work and family. Let's just enjoy the evening." "I am enjoying myself, sweetheart," Linda said sweetly. "Just sharing thoughts." "That's allowed, isn't it?" Another glass of wine made her bolder. She drifted to a group of young women from Dan's team, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "You have no idea how he suffers. He dreams of a son. Poor thing. Caroline's a good girl, but nature had other plans. A dud flower." Dud flower. The phrase hit Caroline like a slap. In Linda's eyes, she wasn't a person. She was defective equipment. Nausea rose. She wanted to fling her wine in that smug face. She didn't. A scene would give Linda exactly what she craved. Her phone buzzed again. "Sophie. About the non-profit. Urgent, the TV crew wants a comment tonight by 10 o'clock. Can you draft key points? This is our shot." It was already 9:30. Caroline felt trapped. On one side, humiliation. On the other, the work that had become her lifeline. She tried to slip into the hall to call, and Linda intercepted her. "Where are you going, sweetheart?" Sugar voice, cold eyes. "Bored with us?" "I need to make an important call," Caroline said quietly. "More important than your husband's big night?" Linda's eyebrows shot up. "Selfish, Caroline. It's always about you." Dan walked over. "What's going on?" "Your wife is abandoning us at the crucial moment," Linda complained. "She says she has a call." "Care, can it wait?" Dan pleaded. "Mr. Collins is leaving soon. I want you two to talk." He didn't even ask what the call was about. In his mind, his career trumped anything of hers.
"Fine,"
Caroline said, voice gone icy.
"I'll stay."
She texted Sophie, "Can't. I'll do it tonight. I'm sorry." The guilt layered over the shame like acid. She sat there, smiling mechanically, and felt something inside her go cold and still. This couldn't go on. Something had to break. It did, like lightning. The host announced that CEO Richard Collins was about to leave and wanted to say a few words. Applause. Collins, a silver-templed man in his 60s, spoke briefly and warmly, thanked the team, and stepped down to say goodbye to department heads and their families. Linda decided it was her moment. As Collins reached their table, she shot to her feet and knocked over a glass of red wine. It bled across the white cloth. "Mr. Collins, dear," she cried too loudly. "Forgive my clumsiness. I'm just so emotional about my boy." Collins blinked. "Is something wrong, Mrs. Brooks?" "Wrong? Oh, yes." Her voice trembled with theatrical grief. "Tragedy in our family. My only son, my beloved Danny, is suffering." She yanked Dan to his feet. He stood pale and stricken. "He works himself to the bone to support his family. He dreams of an heir, a legacy, and the woman beside him," she pointed at Caroline, finger shaking, "can't give him that happiness." The room froze. Music died. All eyes turned. Dan tugged at her sleeve, whispering, but she shook him off, intoxicated by attention. "I don't blame her. She's sick," Linda went on, voice rising into hysteria. "But how's my son supposed to live with a dud?" "With a barren woman?" Collins's face hardened. "Mrs. Brooks, I think you should calm down," he said coldly. She didn't hear. She leaned into Caroline's face and hissed. "Did you think I'd let you ruin my son's life? Did you think I'd stay quiet?" Then she straightened, eyes blazing, and shouted a line that would echo through the room like a gunshot. "My son deserves a queen, not this infertile little nobody." She launched into noisy performative sobs. Dan stood like a statue, head bowed so low his chin nearly touched his chest. He said nothing, not one word for his wife. In the ringing silence, Caroline lifted her head. Her eyes were dry. Worse than that, dead calm. She looked at Linda, then at Dan, and felt every bit of love, tenderness, and forgiveness she'd hoarded turn to ash. This was the end. Time slowed. The crowd's voices blurred into a high, empty hush. She saw pitying mouths move, but heard nothing. Dan, the man she loved, the man she trusted, stood there as the living embodiment of betrayal. By saying nothing, he agreed with every word his mother had said. Something clicked inside Caroline. The fragile mechanism that powered tears and patience snapped, not with a scream, but with an icy, inhuman quiet. No pain, no humiliation, only action. Without looking down, she slid her hand into her purse, found the smooth rectangle of her phone, unlocked it by muscle memory, and tapped voice memos. The red dot appeared. Recording. Linda, calmer now that she'd spent her frenzy, kept performing. She clutched her heart and moaned about a mother's broken soul, about Danny withering in a childless marriage, about a wife who won't even get proper treatment because she's busy with some PR thing. The phone captured every word, every poisonous inflection, every fake sob. Caroline felt like a documentarian filming the collapse of her own life. She glanced up and met the eyes of Helen Collins, the CEO's wife, at the next table. No pity there, something better, understanding and respect. Helen gave a tiny nod that said, "You're doing the right thing." Dan tried to hustle Linda away. "Mom, come on." "That's enough." "Enough? I'm not finished," she snapped. "People deserve the truth, and you," she jabbed a finger at Carolyn, "don't think he's staying with you. I won't allow it. I'll find him a healthy girl who'll give me grandchildren. You can go whatever way you came. We don't need you." Carolyn kept recording, face unreadable. No tears, no shouts, just the small red light. That file, she realized, was her weapon. She'd use it to defend the only thing she had left, her dignity. When Linda finally paused for breath, Carolyn stopped the recording, slipped the phone back into her purse, and rose, slowly, with a poise no one expected. "Mr. Collins, Mrs. Collins," she said evenly, "I'm sorry you had to witness this." "You have nothing to apologize for," Helen said firmly, touching Carolyn's hand. The simple gesture from a woman of stature drew a clear line between victimhood and self-respect. Carolyn turned to Dan. "There's nothing left to discuss, tonight or ever." Then to Linda, with cool contempt. "Thank you for the lesson, Mrs. Brooks. I learned a lot." She lifted her purse and walked toward the exit, back straight, deliberately unhurried. The stairs on her skin felt like sunlight, not shame. This wasn't retreat, it was a beginning. She didn't go home. She took a rideshare to Sophie's. Her friend met her with a blanket and hot tea, asked nothing, just held her while she cried. When the first wave passed, Caroline told her everything. "Trash," Sophie said succinctly. "Absolute world-class trash. You got the recording?" "Yes." Caroline pulled out her phone. "I listened in the car. It's all there." "You genius," Sophie breathed. "That's your ace. Now we play." They stayed up late, building a plan. Sophie's pragmatic, fight-ready mind was priceless. First, divorce, she said, immediately, before they regroup and try to guilt you. Second, Danny's career. That's what he worships, right? Caroline nodded. Great. That's our leverage. Sunday, Caroline made her move. She found Richard Collins's email and wrote a short, impeccably polite note. Dear Mr. Collins, please accept my apologies for last night's incident. I understand how seriously you value the company's reputation. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law, Mrs. Linda Brooks, while intoxicated, made a series of inappropriate and offensive statements. To prevent any speculation about the source of the disturbance and to protect the reputation of your employee, my husband Daniel, I'm attaching an audio file from the evening. Thank you for your understanding. Sincerely, Caroline. She attached the recording, shut her eyes for one heartbeat, and hit send. No more victim. She was a player making her move. She spent the rest of the day packing. Only clothes, documents, her laptop, a few cherished things. She knew she wouldn't go back. Dan called that evening, panicked. Caroline, what did you do? Mr. Collins called. He's furious. He wants me in his office first thing tomorrow. He mentioned an audio file. Did you send him the recording? Yes. Why? He shouted. Are you trying to ruin my career? Were you not trying to ruin my life when you stood there and let your mother humiliate me? She asked, voice cold. That's different. No, Dan. It's the same. It's called consequences. You made your choice last night. I made mine today. She hung up. For the first time, she felt something like power, a hard, clean certainty. Monday morning, Dan walked into Collins's office white-knuckled. The CEO didn't offer coffee or water, just pointed to a chair. I listened to the recording your wife sent, he said, voice level, several times. I'm shocked. It was a misunderstanding, Dan stammered. My mother had too much to drink. Your mother staged a disgusting spectacle, Collins cut in. She publicly insulted and degraded your wife in front of my employees and my wife. But worst of all was your behavior. You're a manager, a man, a husband. You stood there and said nothing. You didn't stop your mother. You didn't protect your wife. You allowed it. Dan hunched. I froze. Our company's reputation is built on family values, reliability, decency, Collins said. What example do you set? A man who can't manage his own home? Can't defend his woman? How can I trust him to lead a team in a crisis? Dan wasn't fired. Collins was too smart to create a legal tangle over a family scandal. But he lost his bonus, was pulled from a major project, and was told pointedly not to expect advancement. For ambitious Dan, it was professional ruin. Linda, learning about the meeting and the recording, had a full meltdown, screaming that Caroline was a witch, that she'd engineered everything, bewitched her boy, and now was destroying his life. She called Caroline to threaten, to beg, to demand she withdraw the divorce and take back the audio. Caroline was unmoved. You wanted everyone to know the truth, Mrs. Brooks, she said calmly. Now they do. Checkmate. Their trump card, Dan's career, was gone. Their attempt to destroy Caroline backfired. The divorce moved quickly. Dan hired a lawyer and skipped the hearings. The recording, attached to the filing, spoke louder than any testimony. The judge had no questions. They split the marital assets. Caroline accepted a buyout rather than the apartment, and Dan took a consumer loan to pay her. She rented a small, cozy place in a leafy neighborhood and dove into work. Strangely, news of the corporate scandal helped her. The story circulated. People admired her courage and the unusual way she handled it. The TV segment about the children's charity aired and was a hit. Donations poured in. Job offers followed. She chose the best, head of PR at a major publishing house. She worked hard, but the fatigue felt good. She was finally in the right life. Close to New Year's, her phone rang. Dan. Hi, he said quietly. I wanted to wish you happy holidays and apologize again. For real. Thank you, Caroline said. Happy New Year to you too. Mom's changed, he rushed on. Goes to church, asks forgiveness. Says she was wrong. I'm glad for her, Caroline said sincerely. Caroline? Is there any chance for us? She looked out at the snow-dusted city. No, Dan, she said gently but firmly. What we had is gone. We're different people. Go your way. Be happy. She hung up, feeling the final period land softly. No anger, just a page turned. That night, she decorated her small tree. Snow fell outside, gingerbread baked in the oven. Peace, simple, sturdy peace, settled in. She had a new job, a new home, and, more importantly, herself. She understood now. Happiness isn't sacrifice or endless compromise. It's living in harmony with who you are. That victory mattered more than any other. She was ready for the next chapter, and she knew she could face anything. She was no one's infertile little nobody. She was a woman who writes her own story. If this story resonated with you, like and subscribe. We are stronger together.